This video tends to explore how crowdfunding has caused opportunities, failure, and success associated with it in the UK and Pakistan. Crowdfunding grants originators of artistic, for-profit, cultural enterprises to fund their projects by generating small offerings from the masses of individuals utilizing the internet without a financial mediator. Crowdfunding is serving in different ways in these two countries according to their needs, and this video will explicate those key points in relation to policy documents and academic articles. Initially, the video will investigate crowdfunding and the aims of backers and creators. Later on, I will discuss how crowdfunding changed the UK market and the effect of new laws implied by the FCA to overcome the issues in terms of crowdfunding. Lastly, I will explore how crowdfunding is assisting people in Pakistan to control the complication arising concerning health, education, and livelihood. Fresh project demands expedient to flourish, and the most crucial among these is financing. Recently, crowdfunding has transpired to be an innovative way of collecting funds and investments. President Obama pronounced in 2012 while authorizing equity crowdfunding in the Jobs Act. For startups and small businesses, this bill is a potential game changer. Regardless of such appreciation, it is still speculative in what manner crowdfunding might turn the table for new enterprises. It is an inspiration from ideas like crowdsourcing and microfinancing, yet symbolize its own distinctive genre of fundraising with the assistance of several relative platforms. It was explained that crowdfunding is an open call essentially through the internet for the provision of financial resources, either in form of donation or in exchange for some form of reward or voting rights in order to support initiatives for specific purposes. Nevertheless, some scholars also define crowdfunding as internet-based peer-to-peer lending. Currently and most probably in future, crowdfunding extends over several disciplines, therefore, an extensive definition is complex. In spite of that, I would still prefer a proper definition in terms of exploring new projects and financing for academic purposes. Crowdfunding efforts require two important aspects that include the aim of creator and the aim of backer. An individual may commence to crowdfunding as either backer or creator. In contrast to several other kinds of project financing, ventures associated with crowdfundings have broader goals. Numerous crowdfunding projects pursue little funds, mostly under £1,000, for one-time project. In this case, family friends generally provide funds. Although it is uncertain to what extent crowdfunding would replace the traditional and formal ways of fundraising, as the laws for equity crowdfunding are still in progress. Initially, crowdfunding a project could also act as a promotion and show demand for the intended product that could lead to funding from the traditional places. Pebble's smartwatch is a perfect example for this, as it was turned down before for traditional funding but later on was able to gain a massive amount of venture funding after its Kickstarter campaign. Alternatively, crowdfunding often manages marketing purposes by developing interest in the beginning of new projects. After gaining the favorable outcome through crowdfunding, a video game console, Oya and Pebble were also able to acquire appreciation and help in raising competitive advantages from other developers by their applications even before their publication. Thus, crowdfunding is acting beyond fundraising. There are three types of investment for the funders to understand: donation reward funding, debt funding, equity crowdfunding. Usually, art or humanitarian projects demand no rewards as the backers are only emotionally attached to the project and expect nothing in return. However, in the second type, funders offer funds as loan and expect some rate of return. Alternatively, equity crowdfunding seeks more interest for investments as it serves a reward in return that could be accessing to the product before they launch on a better price or with any other benefit. Hence, backers are also early consumers. Eventually, as openly authorized in the US by the Jumpstart Our Business Startup Act, approved in April 2012, and earlier approved by other countries, crowdfunding may equally treat funders as investors, offering them equity stake or relative reward in return for their funds. Till mid of 2013, equity crowdfunding was generally not permissible in the US and still comparatively infrequent worldwide, making up less than 5% of all crowdfunding investments, as it demands high level of laws and much higher risk factors. Currently, the crowdfunding business grew by $5.1 billion. Furthermore, after the implementation of Jobs Act, crowdfunding seems to grow drastically. The global industry indicates that notable funding is gained from the European market 43%, USA 35%, and the rest of the world. Although the Financial Conduct Authority applied rules to protect the investors on 1st April 2014, ensuring that consumers have full knowledge of risk factors involved and who will borrow the money. They have also implemented core consumer protection requirement for the relative firms that means the client money will be protected and enterprises must meet minimum capital standards. FCA has also outlined the evolution of the UK market in 2014, and their data has been obtained from Nesta and University of Cambridge 2014. In 2014, for the first time, business loans £749 million, according for a greater proportion of the market than loan raised on consumer lending platforms £547 million. Nesta and University of Cambridge also report that around 2% to 3%, approximately £11 million to £16 million of borrowers using consumer lending platforms are borrowing for their businesses. According to data supplied by Alpha.com, before FCA began regulating the sector, it took an average of 28 months for new platform to reach their first £25 million in sales. In 2014, it took an average of 17 months for new platform to achieve the same figure. The average default rate for personal loans is less than 1%. The average amount borrowed for business purposes in 2014 was £73,222. 27.33% of borrowers surveyed by Nesta and University of Cambridge reported that it was unlikely that they would have been able to secure funding with other sources. On the other hand, 44% reported that it was likely that they would have been able to find funding elsewhere if they had not used loan-based crowdfunding platforms. According to Nesta and University of Cambridge report, the amount raised on investment-based crowdfunding platforms in 2014, the UK is expected to be £84 million. This is 3 times the amount raised in 2013, that was £28 million. Equity-based crowdfunding grew by 201% in 2014. The Nesta and the University Cambridge report focused on the use of debt security crowdfunding platforms that finance renewable energy projects. This part of the market grew by 63% in 2014. The opportunity to make a positive social impact was an important factor for 86% of investors in debt securities issued in support of renewable energy projects. By supervising the monthly management information in 2014, FCA came across few important issues. Mainly, it was to secure the consumer protection in terms of investment and making the financial promotions fair. Similarly, an equivalent approach was taken with loan-based crowdfunding, and FCA were swayed to find out that the governance control of the relative markets were having a good understanding of credit risk, practical anti-money laundering, and know your customer checks. Especially if the platforms are revealing proper information to authorize investors to make informed decisions, few market intelligence also evinces that the negative comments by people are being deleted from the platforms, which may lead to risky situations. In terms of promotions, competing crowdfunding, investing to banking and saving accounts were given an impression that the backers' funds were secure. Less information in promotions regarding taxation of investment and knowledge about representative annual percentage rate to the borrower was lacking. After the implication of the new rules, crowdfunding possessed to grow rapidly. The latest approach to crowdfunding has strengthened and protects the consumer and the firms, which could lead people to trust and invest wholeheartedly in order to support the emerging businesses. On February 2014, International Organization of Securities Commissions issued a staff working paper which reveals that how the crowdfunding sectors are expanding globally. The report notes that the global market for investment-based and loan-based crowdfunding has doubled year-on-year recently to an estimated of $6.4 billion in 2013, driven by annual growth of 90% in peer-to-peer lending. The global equity crowdfunding market is more modest in size and has grown at a slower pace. Messolution 2015 claimed in Crowdfunding Industry Report, global crowdfunding in 2014 expanded by 167%, reaching $16.2 billion in contributions, up from $6.1 billion in 2013. Insiders expected that numbers to reach $34.4 billion by the end of 2015. According to the report, although crowdfunding is not yet available in every country of the world, but out of those where this activity is present, they believe UK regulatory regime provides a suitable structure. Considering other countries in relation to crowdfunding, Pakistan is also acting as an emerging state and contributing to support the organizations that are functioning for the betterment of the public in three main areas: education, health, and sustenance. Platforms such as Indiegogo and Kickstarter have been enormously successful in assisting startup businesses and bringing new products to the market. However, the tendency to solve social issues is merely ignored. Different countries have different problems to overcome. Pakistan is subsequently working in donation crowdfunding, and whoever is interested to give back to society could join the relative platforms. On the contrary, equity crowdfunding is gaining popularity in UK rapidly and has just been started in Pakistan, reason being the multitudes of opportunities which exist and are prospering in the developed world also do not occur in Pakistan, such as venture capitalists, robust capital market, or angel funds. Nevertheless, recently modifications are taking place which could probably change the complete structure of crowdfunding in the state. By looking at the statistics of Pakistan, 68% of the citizens are below 30 in age and majority do not have abilities to join the job market, and this figure tends to increase in future. Additionally, education is the basic aspect of development of a country. Health department in Pakistan is poorly served. 10 children die before reaching the age of 5. Thus, several platforms are monitoring and funding these areas through crowdfunding as their initial aim. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in Pakistan. 95% of the patients could not afford treatment. Rest 5% used to leave country for treatment until 1994, when Imran Khan turned his dream into reality by inaugurating an hospital to treat cancer patients in Pakistan with the help of crowdfunding. In 2006, the hospital won the World Health Organization UAE Foundation Prize for outstanding work in health development and has treated more than 84,000 people until today. The biggest charity crowdfunded institution treats 65% of the patients free. Later on, I Am the Change laid the foundation of crowdfunding in Pakistan in 2012. Initially, it was known as the Unsung Heroes, and they were successful to gain and invest a decent amount of fund for the earlier mentioned sectors. The government grants only 0.67% of GDP on the health departments, so the state public's health infrastructure is nearly unsubstantial. Only private institutions provide quality healthcare facility, but those 58.7 million citizens under deprivation and poverty are unable to get those benefits. Transparent Hands, launched in 2014, aimed to provide charitable donations with crowdfunding in Pakistan. Crowdfunding is very suitable to help gain funds for disaster relief efforts also. It does reduce some problems related to the traditional ways of funding humanitarian aid in Pakistan. For many decades, aid has been a debatable topic, and the problem with the traditional forms of aid is that they are deficient. Crowdfunding is an essentially different way of channeling aid in Pakistan. Fundstack is one of the many platforms in which the trending projects are mostly about health issues. Platforms like Indiegogo and Kickstarter are also active in Pakistan and helping the similar projects to raise a decent amount of funds. On the contrary, crowdfunding also provides a unique element that could appeal Pakistanis, namely those who are just starting out their projects with little resources. Marhor is an online store for handcrafted men's shoes. The Pakistani entrepreneur that founded the company decided to try a Kickstarter campaign to ramp up funding. The target was $15,000, which was back in 2014. Not only Marhor shoe reached the target goal, but they raised 715% of it. Moreover, a 23-year-old entrepreneur from Pakistan invented a power bank called Flashback that charges completely in 14 minutes from any standard laptop charger. Flashback is in progress with entirely functional prototype and will be shipping to early backers by June 2016. After 6 months of in-depth testing, the product is launched through crowdfunding and looking to raise $30,000 to fund the initial tooling and manufacturing. The interview procedure is inclusive in the appendix. I have planned the interview in cooperation with the research topic, yet leaving room for the interviewee to expand the conversation to other relevant issues.
The idea of crowdfunding is very interesting. I find it an opportunity for people who have ideas in order to start up a business. So nowadays if you go for crowdfunding, I think it's a new term for penny stocks. This is what I think, but a better one. I think for new entrepreneurs, crowdfunding is a good idea. In Pakistan, at the moment, it's a little premature. The reason for that is you need for this specific legislation and laws to govern it. First of all, we need proper regulations, proper legislation for this. The interest of the investor has to be safeguarded. If we are talking in terms of equity based crowdfunding, in which the investor will get some portion of the equity. Definitely, international media can play a huge role over here, because mass media can always easily reach out to people and share the idea with them, and this way everyone can be on the same page regarding this new idea of crowdfunding. Media gives space on TV, on radio, or in terms of online to people to come and share their views. Yes, the idea has to be strong. It has to be. It just cannot be an idea. It has to be. It has to have some tangibles with it in order for people to believe in it. For example, an idea cannot only be in terms of paper. It has to have some, working done as well. There's a big difference between UK and Pakistan. Over here in Pakistan, there are three big major issues which we are facing as a developing country. Number one is health, number two is education, and number three is livelihood. I believe there is a tremendous scope. There is no absolute key about it. Yes, the only absolute key skill or absolute about crowdfunding, or that too equity-based crowdfunding, is truth. Exactly what they are going to do, how they are going to share their finances with the investors, how they are going to go about their business. I think the basic need over here in equity-based crowdfunding, and my concern is the safeguarding the interest of the investors.
So it has been seen that along with donation crowdfunding, other ways of crowdfunding are also gaining recognition in Pakistan, whether it is to promote a fresh project in the creative industry or to seek fund for health and education purposes. International Organization of Securities Commission conducted a research on the expansion of market. They have suggested that financial return crowdfunding can help economic betterment by financing small and medium enterprises, which are foundation for economic growth. Aiding those organizations with expertise would also access capital for their advancement and expansion, and can contribute to job creation and economic recovery, which is desperately needed in Pakistan and often in the UK. If Pakistan would have more knowledge and regulations like Europe, then there is a huge chance of growth in equity-based crowdfunding. In Pakistan, people are reluctant to invest out of their zonal boundaries due to high risk of fraud. This podium could bring revolution in Pakistan if the curiosity is increased in the masses and if government take more interest towards it to enforce regulations in order to secure the backers.